In March 1918, a number of journalists from Britain, America and what were then called the Dominions, Canada, New Zealand and the like, came to Birmingham to investigate the munitions production in our city, and they were staggered by the colossal amounts of munitions that were turned out by our people. Rifles, bullets, ammunition, fuses of all kinds by the million, battalions of tanks and heavy guns, grenades and much more besides, all came from Birmingham, one of the most important centres of production for an industrial war. And the people of Birmingham played a vital role, therefore, in winning the First World War. Of course, not just the men, the women. So many women worked in the factories, and they'd always worked in factories. The working class were in Birmingham, and now they came to the fore with their skills, their aptitude and their abilities. That was the home front. On the war front, Birmingham also played its part. At the start of the war, most Birmingham men were involved in either the Royal Warwickshire Regiment, the South Staffordshire Regiment or the Worcestershire Regiment, although, like my granddad, many men were in the Coldstream Guards because the Coldstream Guards recruited heavily in Birmingham. But from the middle years of the war, as so many regiments were decimated in the battles of the Somme and of Wipers and elsewhere, then men from across the country were sent to regiments that were not associated with their town or city. Although the First World War ended 100 years ago, its effects are with us still. I have the letters of my granddad, who was an old contemptible, one of the British Expeditionary Force that went across to hold back the German army and did so. My nan was called Lillian Louvain because she was born on the day that the Belgian town of Louvain was destroyed by the Germans in 1914. My mum had the middle name of Louvain, and my youngest daughter also has the name of Louvain. All of us have stories connected to the First World War, and you'll be hearing some of them now.
On 25th of September 1915 at Hulluch, France, during an attack by his battalion on the first line German trenches, Private Vickers, on his own initiative, went forward in front of his company under very heavy shell, rifle and machine gun fire, and cut the wires which were holding up a great part of his battalion. Although it was broad daylight at the time, he carried out this work standing up, and his gallant action contributed largely to the success of the assault. So yes, my great-great-uncle fought in World War I, received the Victoria Cross, and unfortunately passed away at the end of World War II.
This is my great-granddad, Sidney, whose half-brother was drummer Charles Edward Hyatt. At the age of just 21, he went and fought at the Battle of the Somme in 1916 and was killed over there in that battle. Is my great-great-great-granddad, Arthur Harrison, who was from the north of England, joined the army in the year before the First World War. He's photoed here as a territorial, and here are a number of his war medals. He fought 3 times in France and Belgium during the First World War, and spent a lot of that time doing really mucky jobs like digging out trenches and maintaining those.
This is my great-great-granddad, Francis Smith. He was a Lance Corporal. He was part of the Warwickshire Regiment and died going over the trenches at Passchendaele. Francis Smith.
My name is Will Wagstaff, and I'm going to be speaking about my great-great-granddad that was in the First World War. His name was Denham Barker, and he survived the First World War but came back and unfortunately died of TB when he was aged 36. He got 2 medals, one for fighting in the war and one for being good in the war and one for bravery. So he was very lucky to get those medals.
So my great-granddad, Albert Cartwright, he joined up in 1914 when he was only 18 years old. Fought in France for the entire 4 years, saw horrendous things, saw his friends die, saw flamethrowers, gas attacks. When he came home, he was so moved by the events that he never spoke about it. And it was only through me doing my research years later that I found out anything about him.
Archie Wright was a sergeant major in the Royal Warwick Regiment, and he fought in Belgium. He was lucky enough to make it home and marry and live with his loved ones. However, my great-great-granddad Fountain died in the Battle of the Somme.
Hello, my name's Morgan, and my great-great-great-uncle was called Frank Burgess, and he died in the war from a bomb being dropped on his head, and he was 19 when he died.
My great-great-great-uncle was Private Albert Stanley Good, and he died aged 20, and before he died he was going to marry a girl.
My great-great-granddad, Ernest Harold Kinsall, lied about his age so that he could fight in World War I.
Hi, my name's Ashley Burt, and I'm going to talk about my two great-great-great-uncles that fought in the World War I. One of them was called Ernest Edwin Edgecox, and the second was Leonard Edgecox. Ernest Edwin Edgecox fought in the 4th Battalion in the Worcestershire Regiment. He died in 1917, the 14th of April, and won 2 medals, the British Award Medal and the Victory Award Medal.
My great-great-great-granddad, Andrew Woodward, was a runner in World War I. He used to work at IMI in Witton, where they used to make ammunition and the shells for the big guns. He wanted to join up to the army, but they wouldn't let him because he worked on the explosive field where all the gunpowder was kept. So because he wanted to leave, he went onto the explosive field with something that could cause a spark. You weren't allowed on the explosive field with anything that could cause a spark, otherwise it could blow up the whole field. He was instantly dismissed due to human endangerment. He was in young adulthood when he joined the Royal Warwick Regiment, and the house where Andrew Woodward's daughter lived is now owned by my auntie.
My great-great-granddad fought in the First World War. He lied about his age to join the army, and these were the medals he received when he came home.
My great-great-granddad John fought in World War I and II. He got shot in both knees and his neck, and he survived it, and he was the Royal Warwickshire Regiment for 20 years and 23 days, and he had to make sure that his crew was saved before he was.
My great-great-great-uncle Frank Burgess died in World War I along with 5 others from a bomb. Before he was in the war, he worked at a soap factory. This is a picture of him before he went off to war. This is a painting of his mum. This is a painting of his dad. Before he was in the war, he loved painting. Here is one of the paintings that he painted. When he died, a scroll was sent home saying, "He whom this scroll commemorates was numbered among those who, at the call of king and country, left all that was dear to them, endured hardness, faced danger, and finally passed out at the sight of men by the path of duty, and self-sacrifice, giving up their own lives that others might live in freedom. Let those who come after see to it that his name be not forgotten."